Hey guys, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. This is video number 2 out of 4 in my paper and ink card class host stamp set tour. Today we're going to feature this hand-delivered stamp set, and we're casing the catalog. If you think that this catalog or this card looks familiar to you, it does. I put a couple of little touches on it, changed things up just a little bit, but I thought it'd be fun to run you through how I did it. Maybe you're somebody who likes to see things done. So let's get started with our materials. The photopolymer stamp set that I'm using today is hand delivered. This is a Stampin' Up! Host set from the 2018-2019 Stampin' Up! Catalog. Host sets can only be purchased using Stampin' Rewards, and Stampin' Rewards are earned on all types of orders over $150. If you've got questions about Stampin' Rewards, about hosting a book party, getting together some of your friends for some stamping and passing around the book, or about placing larger orders and using the host rewards, the Stampin' Rewards, to purchase some host sets, you can always email me, Marissa at KitchenTableStamper.com. So this exclusive photopolymer set has a little girl, and she is got some mix and match two-step stamp skirts, and then her face is covered with some great things like a really big bunch of balloons that are almost lifting her up off the ground there, or this beautiful layered cake, this stack of books with the apple on top, or she's got her own little sign here that you can personalize with any greeting that will fit inside of there. Love celebrating you, thank you, and miss you, along with hope you feel better soon, are all included in the stamp set, perfectly sized for that little sign. I also used for this card my Everyday Jars framelits, and I love this Everyday Jars framelits. I haven't used it in a little while, which is sad. I'm gonna have to make a jar card. But I love this little heart border die piece. We're going to use that to make some little embellishments for our card. We've got some silver foil hearts that kind of float up from our happy birthday greeting. I've got the Oh My Stars embossing folder here. Okay, I've got some Stampin' Blends markers here. We are going to color in, just color in, no fancy blend in here. We're going to layer color just a little bit to get some shadows in those balloons, but otherwise very simple coloring. I've got Ivory, Pool Party. These are dark Pool Party. Those are from the first Stampin' Blends release. And from the newest release of Stampin' Blends, I have Poppy Parade, Granny Apple Green, and Pineapple Punch. These are all the dark shades again. I also have a basic black Stampin' Right marker, and that's for the stripes on her skirt. My consumables for this project include a Granny Apple Green cardstock base, and this is 8.5 by 5.5, and we scored it up at 4 1/4. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White here, and this piece of Whisper White is, let's see, what do my notes say, 5.5 by 2 3/4, just like the first card in our series. I've got a scrap of Whisper White here that's just big enough to stamp the balloons, because we're going to pop those guys up. 2 by 3 should do for that. I've got a piece of silver foil. This is 1/2 inch by, I don't know, about 2.5 inches. And then same with the basic black, 1/2 inch by about 2.5 inches. Alright, so let's first grab Big Shot and run the die through the machine and the embossing folder. I'll be right back with the Big Shot. Okay, my Big Shot is set up for die cutting because that's how I put it away. So let's do that first. I'm gonna need that little, that row of little tiny hearts. I'm gonna pop that on the machine and make ourselves a bunch of little embellishments. I love that this cuts all these great little foil hearts at once. We're gonna need 3 of them, so let me pop out 3 little hearts, set them aside, leave the rest in there for card class. This speaking of card class, we got paper and ink cards once a month in my Rolling Meadows home studio. All adult crafters are welcome to join us. Paper and ink cards is 4 cards, much like the ones we're making here. This is one from class, and $15 for the class or free with a Stampin' Up purchase. So if you live in the Chicago area and you're interested in stamping with me, email me, marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. Okay, so I've got my folder and my cards in. I'm gonna put that wide across the platform. And, oh, you know what? I forgot I'm not using a 3D one, so I need a cutting pad on the bottom and a cutting pad on the top. And run that little dude through, make sure it's straight. I've ruined a folder or two, not making sure it was straight, so take an extra minute, might save your folder. Alright, it's time for some stamping and some coloring. So here's our Memento ink, and I start with my Memento ink and this big bunch of balloons. And I'm going to ink it up well, and we need to stamp it twice. First, we're going to stamp it on our larger piece of Whisper White cardstock, about, I'd say maybe, let's get the sample in here so you can see. I'd say it's maybe 1/4 of an inch from the top. So we need to leave enough room for her legs, and we want to make sure that her torso, that's what we're using for placement here. We want to make sure that her torso is straight up and down. So we might have to rotate the stamp a little bit. It's very important. See her little body right here? If that was tilted off to the side, then her legs would go on all screwy. We don't want that. No screwy legs. All right, pretty good looking image there. Now we're gonna ink up the center of this again. Did I ink up my card? Nope, that's good. I launched the ink pad. All right. Now all we care about is those 3 big balloons in the center. So let's stamp those guys down. I don't know. There's a little ink smudge on one of them. Let's flip this dude around and try it again. See, you can always try again. That's a good thing. Yeah, those 3 look much better. Now, set this aside for a minute. Let's get her legs and skirt. We're gonna ink that part of the image up. We wanna line up her little belt to connect these 2 lines across her torso. So I hope my head's not in the camera here, but I gotta get right up over top. Make sure everything's all lined up good. As a matter of fact, I think I'm gonna have to tilt it a little bit to see right, given the camera. All right, I think I got this. Ah, not too bad. And then the lines for her skirt, we're gonna give her a striped skirt and a black belt. This is gonna fill right in for us. And we can see right over top and fill in. Perfect. So, a couple additional supplies. I've got some white embossing powder. I keep it in a little tub. Versamark ink. Then I've got a embossing buddy. And I'm gonna just rub the embossing buddy over my cardstock here. Make sure I got the top side up. Yeah, I think that's gonna be good. And we're gonna stamp that with Happy Birthday and Versamark. Then I'm going to grab a clothespin, hold on to my little greeting, open my tub of embossing powder without getting it everywhere. And I'm going to dunk the greeting in, tap off the excess, and if there's any stubborn places holding on, we'll just swipe the little grains of embossing powder right back into the tub. Close this up and put it aside, no mess. You don't like embossing mess. I'm going to hold this with a clothespin and heat it with a tool. Been stamping for almost 20 years and I still think it's like magic when that embossing powder goes from grainy and all loose to shiny and bright. Oh, makes me happy. All right, so we're gonna grab a little snips and cut a dovetail end and then set this greeting aside, let it cool. Now it's time to do some coloring. I'm gonna start with these balloons here and I'll color them in, but I'm not gonna color everything on video. I don't want it to be like watching paint dry for you guys. So I'm gonna show you first. What I do is I kind of outline the upper edge and draw in a highlight immediately. So all I do is just leave a little white space. It's okay. It took me a long time to get over it and leave the white space. I always kind of want to color everything in. But trust me, you'll be glad you left it. And go almost to the lines there. Now, what I'm going to do is here, kind of up against this other balloon, I'm going to go over where I've already colored it with the Poppy Parade and just add a little more saturation. Now we want to keep the highlight kind of consistent, so we're going to come in with Pool Party. I didn't check the indicator. I opened the wrong side. There's no excuse for that. There is an indicator. And we're going to color along the edge, but leave a highlight right along the top there. And then color in this balloon. Okay, so I've gotten kind of one layer of color over the whole balloon. Now I'm going to go in kind of in this bottom right hand corner and I'm going to add a second layer of saturation. That's it. So we're using one marker to build our shadows and highlights. And Pineapple Punch, same thing. Want that highlight in about the same spot above the... Ooh, I almost colored that one all the way in. That's okay. I'm all right with that. It's yellow after all. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm gonna go in with the Pineapple Punch and build a little bit more color right where these two come together. Now for our girl, I'm going to go over the highlights, what's important here, and then I'm going to cut out and color the rest of the balloons the same way I just showed you. So one of the things I'm going to do here is take my Stampin' Right marker on the little bullet tip, and I'm going to just black in every other segment on her striped skirt. Okay, so we'll do that all the way across. That's her skirt. And then for her balloons, I'm going to color these outer ones solid, but the inner ones, I'm just going to take my brush end and color the edge in a nice thick line. Why? So that when you're looking at the card where it's bumped up there, the edge underneath the yellow balloon looks yellow, under the red balloon looks red, because we colored that thick line around the bottom layer. So we'll do the same thing with our Poppy Parade, and all we're doing is just going right up to the edge with a thick line of color. It gives a nice finished appearance to the card when somebody looking at it can't see the white left undone underneath the dimensionals. So same with this dude. We're gonna go all the way around with a nice Pool Party line. So that's all you need to do on this bottom layer. I colored her top with the little bullet end and the granny apple green. Just her blouse, the trunk of her body, the sleeves, but I left the little cuffs white. I did ivory for her hands, which makes a nice contrast against that white little cuff on her legs. And all I did was color in one coat. I didn't do any shadows or any blending, just filled in. Looks great because you get that nice seamless coverage. And then with the bullet point, I'm going to just color in her shoe. All right, I'm gonna color the rest of these balloons and I will be right back. All right, so there's our little lady. She's all colored in, and you can see that I kept consistent with that highlight kind of at the top of each balloon and a little bit of extra saturation where the balloons come together by just coloring over what I already did. Now we're going to fussy cut our balloons, and we want to cut this balloons that we did right on the line. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep the scissor in my dominant hand still. I just open and close it using my non-dominant hand to steer the paper into the blade and cutting directly on the line. Get that done and cut back in. All right, there's our beautiful little balloons. I'm gonna get some dimensionals and I'm going to cut right up the line here and use these half dimensionals. I'm gonna put one inside each of those open spaces that we left and cover them up. Okay, dimensionals are all sticky. Now our balloons are gonna cover right up over the line there. We'll line them up and then burnish them down. How beautiful is that image? And so simple, just one of each color marker, color it in, and then adding that little bit of built-able color to give the balloon some dimension really makes a difference. All right, let's glue this little lady down to our card front. Got some multi-purpose liquid glue here. Okay, multi-purpose liquid glue, and we're gonna adhere it off center. We want it over to the right-hand side, leaving about 1/2 inch on the right-hand side of the card. Turn it to the inside and burnish it down well. We want it to stick to that embossed surface. Then, our happy birthday greeting. I like the looks of that. It's a bit long, so I'm going to trim just a little snippet. I hope it still looks straight. Am I going to have to go to the trimmer? I think it looks pretty good. I'm going with that. Got some snail adhesive here. Right below her feet, we're giving her kind of some ground to stand on. Should end up being less than 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. Okay. So I've got some multi-purpose liquid glue now, and I'm going to add 3 little dots, just the tiniest little spots of glue onto the card where I want those hearts to live. And then I'm going to take my paper piercer, I'm going to touch that glue spot and use it to pick up the little foil heart on the end of the stylus or on the end of the piercer and just drop it right down into that bit of glue. Doesn't take much at all. You don't want to get a lot of glue on the outside of your little cards or your little hearts there, so the tiniest little touch will work fine. All right, guys, there's my happy birthday card. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that dimensional bouquet of balloons. By using just one shade of the Stampin' Blends and building up color and leaving out for the highlight, we've gotten such dimension. Isn't that just lovely? This card is perfect for the alcohol marker expert or for the novice. If you've got any questions about Stampin' Up, about the host sets or Stampin' Rewards, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email me, Marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. Thanks for watching.